Verse 32. The lotus named Agnya is like the moon, beautifully white. On its two petals are the letters Ha and Ksha, which are also white and enhance its beauty. It shines with the glory of dhyana. Inside it is the Shakti Hakini, whose 6 faces are like so many moons. She has 6 arms, in one of which she holds a book. 2 others are lifted up in the gestures of dispelling fear and granting boons, and with the rest she holds a skull, a small drum, and a rosary. Her mind is pure, Shuddha Chitta. Commentary. The author now describes the Ajna Chakra between the eyebrows in the 7 verses beginning with this. Lotus named Agnya, Agnya Nama. Agnya of the Guru is communicated here, hence it is called Agnya. Here between the eyebrows is the Agnya, command, which is communicated from above, hence it is called Agnya. The lotus, which is well known, is here. This lotus is between the eyebrows, as the following shows. Going upward, after entering the throat and palate, the white and auspicious lotus between the eyebrows is reached by Kundalini. It has 2 petals on which are the letters Ha, H-A, and Ksha, K-S-H-A. And it is the place of mind or manas. The following are descriptions of the lotus. Like the moon, beautifully white, Himakara Sadrisham. This comparison with Chandra, Himkara, may also mean that this lotus is cool like the moonbeams, the moon being the receptacle of Amrita or nectar, whose characteristic is coolness, and that it is also beautifully white. It has been said in the Ishvara Kartikeya Samvada, Ajna Chakra is above it. It is white and has 2 petals. The letters Ha and Ksha, variegated in color, also enhance its beauty. It is the seat of mind or manas. 2 petals, Netrapatra, the petals of the lotus. The letters Ha and Sha, which are also white. Ha Ksha Bhyam Galabhyam Parla Sitavapu Su Shubhram. These 2 letters are by their very nature white, and by their being on the white petals, the whiteness thereof is made more charming by the very excess of whiteness. The letters are called kalas because they are bijas of kalas. It shines with the glory of dhyana, dhyana dhamma paraksham. That is, its body shines like the glory of dhyana shakti. Hakini. He next speaks of the presence of the Shakti Hakini here. The force of the pronoun sa, she, in addition to her name, is that she is the well-known Hakini. The gestures dispelling fear and granting boons. Mudra. This word stands for both mudras. There should be 6 weapons in her hands, as she has 6 hands. There are some who read Vidya and Mudra as one word, Vidya Mudra, and interpret it to mean Vyakhamya Mudra, the gesture that conveys learning or knowledge, and speak of her as possessed of 4 arms. Different manuscripts give different readings. Various manuscripts read these as 2 words. The wise reader should judge for himself. In a dhyana in another place, she is described thus: meditate upon her, the divine Hakini. She abides in the marrow and is white. In her hands are the Damaru, the Rudraksha rosary, the skull, the Vidya, that's the sign of the book, the Mudra, or gesture of granting boons and dispelling fear. She is fond of food cooked with turmini, and is elated by drinking ambrosia. She is well seated on a white lotus, and her mind is exalted by the drink of the king of the Devas, gathered from the ocean. The rest is clear. Verse 33. Within this lotus dwells the subtle mind, Manas. It is well known. Inside the yoni, in the pericap, is the Shiva called Itara, in his phallic form. He here shines like a chain of lightning flashes. The first bija of the Vedas, which is the abode of the most excellent Shakti, and which by its luster makes visible the Brahma Sutra, is also there. The sadhaka with steady mind should meditate upon these according to the order prescribed. Commentary. He speaks of the presence of Manas in this lotus. Subtle, Shukshma Rupa. The Manas is beyond the scope of the senses. That being so, it may be asked, what is the proof of its existence? The answer is, it is well known or universally accepted and handed down from the Andipurusha generation after generation as a thing realized, and is hence well known. The evidence of the Shastras also is that this Manas selects and rejects. Here is the place of the Manas. The presence of Manas is above the first bija of the Vedas, as will appear from what is about to be spoken of. Phallic form, Linga China Prakasham. He next speaks of the presence of the Shiva Linga in the yoni, which is within the pericap. The Itara Shiva, who is there in his phallic form and within the yoni. Within the triangle in the pericap dwells Itara Shivapada, that is, the Shiva known by the name of Itara. This linga is in the phallic form and white. As has been said in the Bhuta Shuddhi Tantra, inside it is the linga Itara, crystalline with 3 eyes. This linga resembles continuous streaks of lightning flashes. Vidyun Malavilasam. First bija of the Vedas, Vedanam Adibijam. He then speaks of the presence of the pranava in the pericap of the lotus. In the pericap there is also the first bija, that is, pranava, which is the abode of the most excellent Shakti, Parama Kula Pada. Kula is Shakti, which is here of a triangular form. Parama means most excellent, by reason of its resembling lightning and the like luminous substances. And pada means place, that is, the triangular space. Hence this bija, namely the pranava, we perceive it within the triangle. This is clearly stated in the following text. Within the pericarp and placed in the triangle is Atma in the form of the pranava, and above it, like the flame of a lamp, is the charming nada and bindu, which is makara, and above it is the abode of manas. Now if the Paramakullapada be the container of, and therefore inseparate from the pranava, how is it that it is separately mentioned as one of the 16 adharas spoken of in the following passage? For it has been said that the 16 adharas or containers hard of attainment by the yogi are Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha, Ajna Chakra, Bindu, Kalapada, Nibodhika, Ardhendu, Nada, Nadanta, Unmani, Vishnuvakra, Dhruva Mandala, and Shiva. The answer is that the second Kalapada is not the one in the Ajna Chakra, but it is the vacant space above Mahanada, which is spoken of later. This will become clear when dealing with the subject of Mahanada, which makes manifest the Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra Prabodha. Brahma Sutra is Chitrini Nadi. This Nadi is made visible by the luster of the pranava. In verse 3, this Nadi has been described as lustrous with the luster of pranava. The sadhaka should, with a steady mind, meditate upon these Hakini, Manas, Itaralinga, and Pranava in the order prescribed. This is different to the order in which they are placed in the text by the author, but the arrangement of words according to their import is to be preferred to their positions in the text. The order as shown here should prevail. Thus, first Hakini in the pericarp, in the triangle above her Itaralinga, in the triangle above him the pranava, and last of all, above the pranava itself, manas should be meditated upon. Verse 34. The excellent sadhaka, whose Atma is nothing but a meditation on this lotus, is able quickly to eat another's body at will, and becomes the most excellent among munis, and all-knowing and all-seeing. He becomes the benefactor of all, and versed in all the Shastras. He realizes his unity with the Brahman, and acquires excellent and unknown powers. Full of fame and long-lived, he ever becomes the creator, destroyer, and preserver of the three worlds. Commentary. In this verse he speaks of the good to be gained by the dhyana of this lotus. Most excellent among munis. Munindra. A muni is one who is accomplished in dhyana and yoga and other excellent acquirements. The suffix Indra means king or chieftain, and is added to names to signify excellence. Versed in all the Shastras, Sarva Shastra Taveta. Such an one become proficient in the Shastras, and in divine knowledge, and thus he becomes all-seeing, Sarvadashi, that is, able to look at things from all points by reason of his being possessed of wisdom and knowledge, which harmonizes with shastras, manners, and customs. He realizes, and so on. Advaita Charavadi. He knows that this universe and all material existence is the Brahman, from such sayings of Shruti as the worlds are Ita Pada. All that exists is the Brahman, and I am the Deva and no one else. I am the very Brahman, and sorrow is not my share. He knows that the Brahman alone is the real, and everything else is unreal, and that they all shine by the light of the Brahman. The man who, by such knowledge, is able to realize the identity of the individual with the Supreme Spirit, Jivatma and Paramatma, and preaches it, is an Advaitavadi. Excellent and unknown powers, Paramapurva Siddhi, that is, most exalted and excellent powers, full of fame, Prasiddha, that is, famous by reason of his excellence. He becomes ever Sopi Karta Tribhuvna Bhavane Samritau Palanecha, that is, Prahamsavada, or it may mean that such sadhaka becomes absorbed in the Supreme on the dissolution of the body, and thus becomes the source of creation, preservation, and destruction. Verse 35. Within the triangle in this chakra ever dwells the combination of letters which form the pranava. It is the inner Atma as pure mind or buddhi, and resembles a flame in its radiance. Above it is the half crescent moon, and above this again is Makara, shining in its form of Bindu. Above this is Nada, whose witness equals that of Balarama, and diffuses the rays of the moon. Commentary. The author desires to speak of the presence of the pranava in the Ajna Chakra, and says that in this chakra, and within the triangle which has already been spoken of, ever dwells the combination of the letters A and U, which by the rules of Sandhi makes the 13th vowel O. This combination of letters is Suddha Buddhyantaratma, that is, the innermost spirit manifesting as pure intelligence, Buddhi. The question may be asked if the 13th vowel, O, is that. To obviate this, the author qualifies it by saying, above it is the half moon, etc. It is by adding the half moon, Nada, and Bindu to O that the pranava is formed. He next gives its attributes. Resembles a flame in its radiance. Pradipadya Jyoti. But how can this 13th vowel by itself be Shuddha Buddhyantaratma? He therefore says, above it is the crescent moon, Tadurve Chandra Adya. And above this again is Makara, shining in its form of Bindu. Tadupari Vila Sadbindu Rupi Makara. It is thus shown that by placing of the crescent moon and the Bindu over the 13th vowel, the pranava is completely formed. Above this is nada. Tadurve Nadu Sao. That is, above the pranava is the avantara, meaning final or second nada, which challenges, as it were, the whiteness of Baladeva and the moon. By this he means to say that it is extremely white, excelling in whiteness both Baladeva and the rays of the moon. Some read Tadadye Nadosao in the place of Tadurve Nadosao and interpret it as below Bindu Rupi, Makara is nada, but that is incorrect. The text says, above this again is Makara, shining in its form of Bindu, and there is nada below it. That being so, it is useless to repeat that nada is below. Besides, this nada is beyond the nada which forms part of the pranava and is part of the differentiating parabindu placed above the pranava. If, however, it be urged that it is necessary to state the details in describing the special pranava, and it is asked, why do you say a second nada is inappropriate? Then the reading Tadadye Nadosao may be accepted. But read thus, it should be interpreted in the manner following. This nada shown below the Bindu Rupi, Makara, is Bala Dvala Sudhadhara Santha Hasi, and the nada first spoken of is also so described. Such repetition is free from blame on the authority of the maxim that the great are subject to no limitations. Verse 36. When the yogi closes the house which hangs without support, the knowledge whereof he has gained by the service of Paramaguru, and when the chetas by repeated practice become dissolved in this place, which is the abode of uninterrupted bliss, he then sees within the middle of and in the space above the triangle sparks of fire distinctly shining. Commentary. Having described the pranava, he now speaks of its union with chetas, that is, pranava yoga. The yogi should close the house, puram bhadva, that is, he should, with his mind set on the act, close the inner house, or in other words, he should make yoni mudra in a manner prescribed, and thus effectually close the inner house. The use of the word pur used shows that the yoni mudra is meant. Then, when his chetas by repeated practice or abhyasa or meditation on the pranava becomes dissolved, that's lina, in this place, the Ajna Chakra, he sees within and in the space above the triangle wherein the pranava is, sparks of fire. Or to put it plainly, sparks of light resembling sparks of fire appear before his mental vision above the triangle on which the pranava rests, It is by Yoni Mudra that the inner self, that's the Anatpur, is restrained and detached from the outside world, the region of material sense. The manas cannot be purified and steadied unless it is completely detached from the material sphere. It is therefore that the mind or manas should be completely detached by Yoni Mudra. Yoni Mudra, which detaches the manas from the outside world, is thus defined. Place the left heel against the anus and the right heel on the left foot, and sit erect with your body and neck and head in a straight line. Then, with your lips formed to resemble a crow's back, draw in air and fill therewith your belly. Next, close tightly your ear holes with the thumbs. With your index fingers, the eyes, the nostrils by your middle fingers, and your mouth with the remaining fingers. Restrain the air within you, and with the senses controlled, meditate on the mantra whereby you realize the unity or ektavam of prana and manas. This is yoga, the favorite of yogis. That steadiness of mind is produced by restraint of breath through the help of mudra, has been said by Shruti. The mind under the influence of Hamsa moves to and fro over different subjects. By restraining Hamsa, the mind is restrained. Closes the house, Puram Bhadava. This may also mean Kechari Mudra. This latter also produces steadiness of mind. As has been said, as by this the Chitta roams in the Brahman and has the sound of uttered word, also roams the ether. Therefore is Kechari Mudra honored by all the Siddhas. The Chitta is Kechara when disunited from Manas, and devoid of all attachment to all worldly things, it becomes Unmani. As has been said, the yogi is united with Unmani. Without Unmani, there is no yogi. Niralamba means that which has no support, namely, that from which the mind's connection with the world has been removed. The knowledge whereof he has gained by the service of his Paramaguru. Paramaguru Seva Suviditam. Parama is excellent in the senses that he has attained excellence in yoga practice by instructions handed down along a series of spiritual preceptors, that's gurus, and not the result of book learning. Serving the Guru. Such knowledge is obtained from the Guru by pleasing him by personal services or seva. It can be attained by the instructions of the Guru and not by 10 million of Shastras. The abode of uninterrupted bliss, Su-Sukha Sadhana. That is, this is the place where one enjoys happiness that nothing can interrupt. This word qualifies place. Sparks of fire distinctly shining. Pavana Suhidram Pravilasitaropam Kanan. These sparks of fire shine quite distinctly. Elsewhere it is clearly stated that Pranava is surrounded by sparks of light. Above it is the flame like Atma, auspicious, and in shape like the Pranava, on all sides surrounded by sparks of light. Verse 37. He then also sees the light, which is in the form of a flaming lamp. It is lustrous, like the clearly shining morning sun, and glows between the sky and the earth. It is here that the Bhagavan manifests himself in the fullness of his might. He knows no decay, and witnesseth all, and is here as he is in the region of fire, moon, and sun. Commentary. Yogis such as these see other visions besides the sparks of light. After seeing the fiery sparks, they see the light. Then, tadanu, that is, after seeing the sparks spoken of in the preceding shloka, he then describes this light, or jyoti, glows between the sky and the earth. Gagana dharani madhyam malita. This compound adjective qualifies jyoti, or light. Gagana, or sky, is the sky or empty space above Shakini Nadi. See verse 40. And dharani, or earth, is the Dhara Mandala in the Muladhara. This light also extends from the Muladhara to the Sahasrara. He next speaks of the presence of Paramashiva in the Ajna Chakra. It is here, iha sthane, that is, in the Ajna Chakra. Paramashiva is here, as in the Sahasrara. Bhagavan is Paramashiva. Manifests himself, Sakshad Bhavati, that is, he is here, in the fullness of his might, Purna Vibhava. This compound word which qualifies Bhagavan is capable of various interpretations. Purna Vibhava may also be interpreted in the following different ways. Purna may mean complete in himself, and Vibhava, infinite powers, such as the power of creation, etc. In that case, the word would mean one who has in him such powers, who is the absolute creator, destroyer, and supporter of the universe. Vibhava again may mean the diversified and limitless creation, and Purna, all spreading. In this sense, Purna Vibhava means he from whom this all-spreading and endless creation has emanated, from whom all these originated, and in whom, having originated, they live, to whom they go, and into whom they enter. Vibhava again may mean omnipresence, and Purna, all-spreading. It would mean he who in his omnipresence pervades all things. Purna may also mean the quality of one whose wish is not moved by the result, and is not attached to any object. Purna Vibhava would then mean one who is possessed of that quality. All things except Atma pass away. The omnipresence of the ethereal region, Akasha, etc., is not ever existent. The Nirvana Tantra speaks of the presence of Paramashiva in the Ajna Chakra in detail. Above this, that's the Vishuddha lotus, is Jnana lotus, which is very difficult to achieve. It is the region of the full moon and has 2 petals. Again, inside it, in the form of Hamsa, is the bija of Shambhu. And again, thus is Hamsa in Manidripa, and in its lap is Paramashiva with Siddha Kali on his left. She is the very self of eternal bliss. By lap is meant the space within the bindus which form the Visarga at the end of Hamsa. So it has been said in describing the Sahasrara, there are the 2 bindus which make the imperishable Visarga. In the space within is Paramashiva. As it is in the Sahasrara, so it is represented here. We are to understand that these 2, Shiva and Shakti, are here in union, or bandhana, in the form of Parabindu, as the letter Ma, and that they are surrounded by Maya. She, the Eternal One, stays here, that's Ajna Chakra, in the form of a grain of gram, and creates beings, Bhutani. Here the Paramashiva, as in the form of a gram, dwells, and according to the Utkaladimata, also creates. As he is in the region of fire, moon and sun, Vane Shashi Mihirayor Mandalamiva. As the presence of Bhagwan in these regions is well known, so is he here. Or it may be that the author means that he is in the shape of a grain of gram, dwells in the regions of fire, moon and sun in the Sahasrara, so does he dwell here also. We shall describe the Arka, Indu and Agni Mandala in the Sahasrara later. In Pitta Puja, the puja of Paramatma and Jnanatma should be performed on the mandalas of sun, Arka, moon, Indu, and fire, Agni. By Paramatma, Paramashiva is meant, and by Jnanatma, Jnana Shakti. The Bindu should be meditated upon as like the grain of gram, consisting of the inseparable couple, namely Shiva and Shakti. Verse 38. This is the incomparable and delightful abode of Vishnu. The excellent yogi at the time of death joyfully places his vital breath prana here, and enters, after death, that supreme, eternal, birthless, primeval Deva, the Purusha, who was before the 3 worlds, and who is known by the Vedanta. Commentary. He now speaks of the good to be gained by giving up the prana by yoga in the Ajna Chakra. This verse means the excellent yogi, yogi nidra, at the time of death, prana nidhane, joyfully, pramudita mana, places his prana, pranam samaropya, in the abode of Vishnu in the Ajna Chakra, ihastane Vishnu, that is, in the abode of Bhagwan in the Bindu already described. and passes away and then enters the Supreme Purusha. At the time of death, prana nidhane, that is, feeling the approach of death, joyfully, pramudita mana, glad in mind in the enjoyment of the blissful union with Atma. Vishnu is Bhagwan, is also Parma Shiva. Here, ihasthane, that is, in the bindu in the Ajna Chakra spoken of above, places the prana here. Ihasthane pranam samaropya, that is, he places it on the bindu already spoken of. He describes Purusha as eternal, nityam, indestructible, birthless, aja, primeval, Purana. He is the one known as the Purana Purusha. Deva means he whose play is creation, existence, and destruction, who was before the three worlds, Trijagatam Adiyam. By this the implication is that he is the cause of all, as he preceded all. Known by the Vedanta. Vedanta Vidita. Vedantas are sacred texts dealing with the injury concerning the Brahman. He is known by a knowledge, jnana, of these. The way the prana is placed in the place of Vishnu is described below. Knowing that the time for the prana to depart is approaching, and glad that he is about to be absorbed into the Brahman, the yogi sits in yogasana and restrains his breath by kumbhaka. He then leads the jivatma in the heart to the muladhara, and by contracting the anus and following other prescribed process, rouses the kundalini. He next meditates upon the lightning-like blissful nada, which is thread-like, and whose substance is kundali, that is kundalini maya. He then merges the hamsa, which is the Paramatma, in the form of prana, in the nada, and leads it along with the jiva through the different chakras according to the rules of chakra bheda to Ajna Chakra. He there dissolves all the diverse elements from the gross to the subtle, beginning with Prithvi in Kundalini. Last of all, he unifies her with the Jivatma, with the Bindu whose substance is Shiva and Shakti, which having done, he pierces the Brahmarandra and leaves the body and becomes merged in the Brahman. Summary of the Ajna Chakra, verses 32 to 38. The Ajna Chakras has two petals and is white. The letters Ha, H-A, and Ksha, K-S-H-A, which are white, are on the two petals. The presiding Shakti of the chakra, Hakini, is in the pericarp. She is white, has 6 faces, each with 3 eyes and 6 arms, and is seated on a white lotus. With her hands she displays Varamudra and Abhayamudra, and holds a Rudraksha rosary, a human skull, a small drum, and a book. Above her, within a trikona, is Itaralinga, which is lightning-like, and above this again, within another trikona, is the inner Atma, lustrous like a flame. On its four sides, floating in air, are sparks, surrounding a light, which by its own luster makes visible all between Mula and the Brahman Randra. Above this again is Manas, and above Manas in the region of the moon is Hamsa, within whom is Paramashiva and his Shakti. Additional commentary. Vishwantha, in the commentary to the Shat-chakra, gives under this verse a description taken from the Swachachanda Sangraha of the region beyond the Agnya, that is, beyond the Samashti, or collective or cosmic Agnya. Within the Bindu is a space 100 million yojanas, is expanse and bright with the brightness of 10 million suns. Here is the Lord of the state beyond Shanti, with 5 heads and 10 arms, and lustrous as a mass of lightning flashes. On his left is Shantyatita Manomani. Surrounding them are Nivritti, Pratishta, Vidya, and Shanti. Each of these is adorned with a moon and has 5 heads and 10 arms. This is Bindu Tattva. Above Bindu is Ardha Chandra, with the colors of the latter, namely Jyotsna, Jyotsnavati, Kanti, Suprabha, Vimala. Above Ardha Chandra is Nibodhika, with the colors of the latter, Bandhati, Bodhini, Bodha, Jnana Bodha, Tamopaha. Above Nibodhika is Nada and its 5 colors, Indika, Rechika, Urvaga, Trasa, and Parma. On the lotus above this last is Ishwara, in extent 100 million yojanas and lustrous as 10,000 moons. He is 5-headed, and each head has 3 eyes. His hair is matted, and he holds the trident, Shula. He is the one who goeth upwards, and in his embrace is the Kala. Here ends the 6th section.